2 millimeters. The brake pedal travel is off. The brake bias display. Someone shifted it forward, deliberately. They want the front left to lock into Eau Rouge. At 290 kilometers per hour, that's a death sentence.
He's too fast, too young. Today, we get rid of the kid without anyone knowing.
The mechanic adjusted the brake bias. He'll spin the moment he touches the brakes at Eau Rouge.
I could pit now and report it, but they'd wipe the logs and call it a sensor glitch. If I finish this race, the FIA will inspect the car. They'll find the tampering. No one can cover that up.
And so the 16-year-old Prodigy began the race. Knowing his brakes had been sabotaged, the lights went out. Tsubasa held his line, heart steady, braking points already recalculated in his mind. Tomoya and Masaki watched from the pit wall. Certain the boy wouldn't survive the first lap, Tsubasa sliced through the pack, braking past his markers and shifting bias rearward on the straights. Each lap was a tightrope walk.
The front left temperature is rising faster than I'd like, but if I trail brake perfectly, I can keep the rears cool.
Front left brake temp is 15 degrees over threshold. Probably a sensor glitch. I'll keep monitoring.
But the data didn't lie. Into La Source, Tsubasa's brake disc glowed faint orange, yet his lap time was identical to the leader's.
He should have crashed by now. That bias was set to lock the front at the first heavy stop.
Wait for Eau Rouge. No driver survives a brake failure there, not even a gifted brat.
Lap 3. I am up to 5th. The car is nervous, but I know exactly how much front grip I have left.
On the pit wall, his engineer's screen flashed a critical temperature warning. She grabbed the radio.
Tsubasa, we're seeing a left front brake temp spike. Any feedback?
His reply was calm, but the sweat on his brow told the truth. Eau Rouge loomed, 1 lap away. Tsubasa dropped a gear, the speedo climbing past 290. Eau Rouge rushed at him like a concrete wall. He touched the brakes.
The pedal goes soft. Front left is locking.
The front wing dipped. Smoke poured from the left disc as the tires skipped across the tarmac.
Don't panic. Ease off. Let the rears bite and countersteer into the slide.
His hands moved in a blur, sawing at the wheel. The car snapped sideways, then straightened, scraping the barrier by millimeters. He shot up Radalon, losing only 0.8 of a second. The grandstands erupted in disbelief.
He didn't spin. That brake should have killed him.
That wasn't a sensor glitch. Someone deliberately increased the front bias. I am pulling the telemetry log.
I told you I'd finish this race. Now I am in 3rd. Let's see how far I can push.
Tomoya's face drained of color. Masaki crushed his headset. The boy they tried to murder was now in podium position, and the data trail was damning. Tsubasa swept past another car on the Kemmel Straight, the gap to the leader shrinking to 2 seconds. His rhythm was flawless, despite the smoking front brake.
He's just lucky. The brake bias must have shifted back on its own. A fluke.
Don't be a fool. The telemetry will show the bias was changed after Parc Fermé. We need to delete the backup.
I've pulled the pre-race brake bias log. It was shifted 2% forward after the car left the garage. This is sabotage.
Don't radio him. If he knows the brakes are tampered, he might hesitate. We finish this race first, but save that log.
Tsubasa, unaware of the storm behind him, set his sights on the leader. The gap was now 1.4 seconds. His engineer sealed a copy of the brake bias log on a secure server. The evidence was irrefutable. The team principal stared at the data, his knuckles white. He made his choice. No distraction until the checkered flag.
5 laps left. The brake pedal is spongy, but I've got the measure of it. I can take the lead.
Tomoya and Masaki watched the pit wall monitors in growing dread. Their sabotage was failing, and the data trail led straight to them. Tsubasa slipstreamed past the second-place car into Les Combes. The leader was now his sole target.
The pedal is sinking deeper. I have maybe 10 more laps before the front left fails completely.
On the telemetry screen, the front left brake disc temperature jumped to 900 degrees, flashing critical alarms.
We have to box him. The left front is about to catch fire.
Number. He's still setting purple sectors. If we call him now, we lose the race and maybe his trust.
The engineer's protest died in her throat. She'd been ordered to stay silent.
We need to erase the radio logs. If the stewards hear us discussing bias changes, we're finished.
I've already wiped the team comms, but the engineers saved a separate backup. I can't touch it.
The veterans' faces twisted. Their sabotage was now a digital trail that refused to vanish. Tsubasa, unaware, closed within half a second of the leader, his brakes glowing like a warning flare. With millimeters to spare, Tsubasa snatched the inside line at the bus stop chicane, setting the fastest lap of the race.
The car is terrifyingly unstable, but the lap times don't lie. I am faster than everyone.
He's purple in every sector. The brake temp is past critical, but his pace is unbelievable.
The broadcast commentators marveled at his late braking, calling it a prodigy's touch. They saw no danger.
We must tell him. If he knows the bias is off, he can adjust or at least prepare for failure.
Telling him now could break his focus. He's driving on instinct. A word about sabotage could make him hesitate. We wait.
Then the leader peeled into the pit lane. Tsubasa stayed out, the track stretching open before him. He was now P1.
I am in the lead. 7 laps to go. Just keep the braking smooth and the car will hold.
His front left is literally on fire. If he crashes, it's on our heads. We have proof. Radio him.
The team principal stared at the screen, the brake disc now a ring of white-hot metal. Still, he said nothing. Tsubasa raced on, alone with a secret that could kill him.
The mechanic is panicking. He wants to confess. I told him we'd make it look like an accident if he talks.
That won't hold. The backup log is already copied to 3 servers. We're finished unless that kid retires.
Let me give him a coded message. Manage brake wear carefully. He's smart enough to interpret it.
Do it. Say the front left temps are high and he should adapt. No direct mention of tampering.
She pressed the radio button, voice carefully level.
Tsubasa, we're seeing excessive front left brake wear. Manage your bias and brake application.
There was a pause. Just the crackle of the radio. Then Tsubasa's voice, unnervingly calm.
Understood. I've been managing it since lap 1. I'll bring the car home. Out?
The team principal's hand froze midair. The engineer stared at the radio, eyes wide. He knew. He had always known.
They think I don't know, but I felt it on the formation lap. I'll finish this race, and then they'll answer for it.
With 5 laps to go, the front left brake disc was a glowing ember. Smoke trailed from the wheel, like a fuse burning down. Tsubasa sliced past a lapped car at Blanchimont, not lifting. The gap back to second place stretched to 4 seconds.
2 more laps. The pedal is almost to the floor. I am braking with my left foot only to keep the rears balanced.
He's not slowing down. If he finishes, the post-race inspection will hang us. We have to hope the brakes fail.
They won't. He's been nursing that car like a surgeon. We're going to prison.
Tsubasa rounded La Source, the gap now 8 seconds. The grandstands rose, sensing history. The brake disc was now translucent with heat. The temperature gauge pegged past 1200 degrees.
1 lap left. I can see the checkered flag in my mind. Just 1 more lap.
Tomoya slumped against the wall. Masaki stared at the monitor, eyes empty. Their plan had become their own gallows. Tsubasa crossed the line to begin the final lap. The engine screamed. The brakes glowed and the boy never flinched. Into the first corner, Tsubasa's brake pedal went completely soft. His foot pressed the floor, meeting nothing but air.
Downshift. Use the engine compression to scrub speed. Brake with the gears, not the pedal. No time to think, just react.
Tomoya and Masaki watched the telemetry. For a moment, the brake pressure dropped to 0, then flickered back to life.
He lost brakes completely. He should be in the wall. How is he still moving?
That was close. The pedal is gone, but I can still manage. Just one more sector. I won't give up now.
The left front brake disc glowed white-hot, molten sparks trailing behind. The temperature gauge read over 1,300 degrees. Through the final chicane, the car wobbled violently as the caliper began to seize. But Tsubasa's steady hands held it straight. Then the checkered flag fell. Tsubasa crossed the line. Winner by 9 seconds. The grandstands roared.
He did it. Get the car back to Park for me immediately. Don't let anyone touch the brake system.
Tomoya and Masaki watched the monitor as the car rolled into the garage. Their sabotage was minutes from discovery. In Parc Fermé, FIA stewards surrounded Tsubasa's car. One knelt by the glowing front left brake, his expression hardening.
This brake bias setting is not within regulation. Pull the full telemetry log immediately.
The engineer, hands trembling, produced the secure data. The screen flashed red. Bias altered exactly 2% forward after final checks.
A 2% shift after Parc Fermé is clear evidence of deliberate tampering. This car will be impounded for full analysis.
Tsubasa removed his helmet, sweat-damp hair sticking to his forehead. He watched the stewards with a calm that unsettled the room.
I knew from the formation lap. The brake pedal travel was different. I chose to keep driving because I trusted the post-race inspection.
He told us he'd been managing the brakes all race. He knew the car was sabotaged and still pushed it to victory.
Tomoya and Masaki watched from across the paddock as the stewards sealed the car. Their faces were ashen, the weight of the evidence crushing them. The FIA steward stepped forward, his voice cutting through the sudden silence of the garage.
We have confirmed brake tampering. A formal investigation is now open. We will summon all relevant personnel.
In a side room, the mechanic broke within minutes. Faced with the time-stamped data, he pointed across the paddock.
He named Tomoya and Masaki. They paid him to adjust the brake bias before the race.
The steward's expressions didn't change, but the air thickened. 2 veterans were now officially suspects. Tsubasa was called to give a formal statement. He walked in, still in his racing suit, face unreadable.
I felt the brake pedal travel difference during the formation lap. I chose not to pit because I knew the post-race inspection would reveal the truth.
His words were calm, almost clinical, as if he were describing a practice lap rather than an attempted murder. Meanwhile, Tomoya and Masaki were summoned to the steward's office. The walk across the paddock felt like a march to the gallows. They entered to find the mechanic already seated, head bowed, the data log open on the table like a death warrant. Tomoya opened his mouth to protest, but the steward's cold stare silenced him.
You are both suspended pending investigation. Surrender your paddock passes and licenses immediately.
This is absurd. A sensor glitch. You can't suspend us based on faulty data.
Masaki said nothing. He stared at the telemetry printout, as if the numbers might rewrite themselves.
The data is time-stamped and verified. Your mechanic has confessed under oath. The brake bias was altered after Parc Fermé by your instruction.
Tomoya's face twisted, but his voice cracked. Masaki finally looked up, eyes hollow.
We were. It was a joke. A measure to see if he had the nerve. It wasn't supposed to.
The steward didn't blink. He slid a document across the table.
Your teams have been informed. Your contracts are terminated effective immediately. The FIA will announce its findings at the press conference.
Masaki rose unsteadily. Tomoya's mouth hung open. The room felt airless. Outside, the team principal stood grim-faced, refusing to comment until the official statement. The FIA prepared the announcement. Tsubasa's victory stood, but the real story was about to break. In the quiet of the empty garage, Tsubasa sat alone, helmet still cradled in his lap, the distant roar of the crowd fading. His mind drifted back to a rain-soaked karting track when he was 9. Spin after spin in the wet, never giving up.
Father told me that day, a car only responds to what you give it. Stay calm, and the track will show you the way. He also said, racing is not about beating others. It's about proving to yourself that you can overcome anything. For a decade, I practiced that. Every corner, every mistake, every victory. The track never lied, and neither did I. Those veterans thought fear would break me, but they never understood. I don't race against them. I race against myself. Now the world will hear the truth. I just need to say it simply, the way my father would have. They sabotaged my brakes to send a message. I'll send one back. The track doesn't care about your schemes. It only cares about the truth.
He rose, placing the helmet on the seat, and walked out of the garage with the same steady rhythm he held on the circuit. The press conference room buzzed with anticipation. Every reporter knew the verdict was coming. Tsubasa entered, his calm and unsaid challenge.
The FIA has completed its investigation. The brake bias on car number 16 was deliberately altered after Parc Fermé. This is sabotage. Tomoya and Masaki orchestrated the tampering. They are banned from all FIA-sanctioned events for 2 years. Their points are stripped, their licenses revoked.
A wave of gasps swept the room, followed by a low, rolling growl from the journalists and team personnel. Tomoya and Masaki were led out of the paddock, their access badges confiscated. A corridor of booing fans lining the exit. Cameras flashed. Tomoya's face contorted. Masaki stared straight ahead, hollow, in the press room. The steward turned to Tsubasa. The silence was knife-sharp.
The race result stands. This 16-year-old driver knew of the sabotage and still won by 9 seconds. The floor is yours, Tsubasa.
Tsubasa adjusted the microphone. His expression remained composed, his eyes fixed forward.
I felt the difference on the formation lap, but I chose to race. Not for revenge, not for spectacle.
He paused. The room leaned in, waiting. A reporter's voice rose above the murmurs, asking what everyone needed to know. How could a 16-year-old stay calm with death at every corner?
I race against the track, not against scared old men.
The words hung in the air. Then the room burst into a standing ovation that seemed like it would never end. In a nearby detention room, Tomoya and Masaki watched the feed on a small monitor, their faces drained of color.
Scared old men. He's right. We were so afraid of being forgotten that we destroyed ourselves.
Masaki didn't respond. He just stared at the screen, his scarred lip twitching as the applause washed over. The image of Tsubasa's calm eyes filled the screen, the same eyes that never flinched at 290 kilometers per hour. Back in the press room, Tsubasa stood, bowed slightly, and walked out. He didn't need to say another word. In the detention room, the screen went dark. The veterans were left with nothing but the weight of their guilt. Their careers had ended in disgrace. But Tsubasa's legend was just beginning. The trophy was placed in his hands, but its weight held no meaning. The race itself had already given him everything he needed.
This trophy is just a marker. The real victory was how I drove.
The team clapped, but their applause carried an undercurrent of tension. A triumph born from sabotage left a bitter aftertaste.
I didn't race for revenge. I raced to prove that nothing can break my focus.
Beyond the podium, Tomoya and Masaki were led to a waiting car, their careers extinguished in a single afternoon.
You drove like a champion, Tsubasa. Despite everything, the team is proud.
Thank you. But I'll be prouder when we win cleanly, without shadows hanging over us. The track will always be my true opponent. No scared old man can ever match it.
He stepped down from the podium with the same measured rhythm he'd held through Eau Rouge, the crowd's cheers fading behind him. Tsubasa stood alone for a moment, the trophy in his hands, his eyes already fixed on the next race. His engineer rushed forward, tears streaking her face as she wrapped her arms around him.
I should have told you the instant I saw the data. You drove with a death sentence on your wheels.
You followed protocol. We both trusted the car would speak for itself. It did.
The team principal stepped into the frame, his expression heavy with accountability.
I misjudged the risk to protect morale. That decision could have cost you your life. I am resigning.
The FIA investigation is closed. The full report is public, detailing the conspiracy and its perpetrators. Tomoya and Masaki are officially banned from all motorsport activities for 2 years. All points stripped.
In the empty paddock, their names were already being erased from the team garage, their legacy reduced to a cautionary headline. Tsubasa listened without flinching, his calm a quiet defiance against the storm that had tried to consume him.
They called me a prodigy, but I am just a driver who never forgot that the track is the only honest judge.
Tsubasa returned to the empty garage, the noise of the paddock fading into a distant hum.
The race is over. The saboteurs are finished. But what remains?
The front left brake disc sat on the workbench, still radiating heat, its surface scarred and discolored.
That disc held my death sentence, and I drove through it, not because I am fearless, because I trust myself, and the truth the car tells.
He rose slowly, lifting his helmet from his lap with the same care he held on the circuit.
This disc will stay here, a reminder. But I won't carry its weight.
He placed his helmet on the shelf, a quiet ritual to close the day's trial.
I race for the truth. I always will.
The brake disc cooled, but its story would burn in every paddock for years. In a dim hotel room, Tomoya and Masaki sat motionless, a replay of Tsubasa's interview flickering on the screen.
We had everything, and we threw it away because a child was faster.
Masaki remained silent, his scarred lip pressed thin, the glow of the screen reflecting in his vacant eyes. Outside, a cold rain washed over the spa circuit, mist clinging to the Eau Rouge corner as if the track itself was weeping. In the paddock, Tsubasa's car was carefully rolled onto the team trailer, its scarred brake disc already removed for investigation. The team moved quietly, their victory celebration muted by the weight of the day's revelations. Tsubasa stood apart, a silhouette against the transporter's lights, his gaze fixed on the mist-shrouded circuit. He thought of the next race, the next corner, the next truth the track would demand. The legend of the 16-year-old who conquered Eau Rouge with sabotaged brakes had only just begun. And somewhere in the shadows, 2 old men would forever hear his words echo. I race against the track, not against scared old men. Morning light spilled across the empty spa circuit. All that remained were tire marks on the rain-soaked tarmac. Tsubasa zipped his jacket and walked toward the gate. He didn't look back.
I'll race again, next time. No saboteurs, no politics. Just the car and the road.
In a small karting track hours away, children were already practicing, unaware of the legend that had been forged in their name. One of them would hear the story one day and know that fear could be outrun. The trophy sat in the transporter, already a relic of a race that would be told for generations, and the name, Tsubasa, no longer just a karting prodigy, became synonymous with unbreakable will. The brake disc was mounted in the team headquarters, a relic of a triumph over treachery. And somewhere in a quiet garage, a boy would sit on a tire, holding his helmet, and remember the day he raced through fire. His eyes, calm as ever, reflected the track, the only truth he ever needed. Months later, in the team headquarters, the scorched brake disc hung on the wall, a silent monument. New recruits paused before it, their faces a mix of awe and unease. They knew the story. Tsubasa never boasted. He simply prepared for the next race, the same quiet fire in his eyes.
Every track has a truth. I just have to find it.
At Spa, the Eau Rouge corner stood unchanged, but the name Tsubasa now clung to its asphalt like a legend. And in a small garage, a boy would still sit on a tire, helmet in his lap, and remember the moment he chose to trust himself. The world would call him a prodigy, but he knew the truth. He was just a driver who refused to be afraid. His legend was not of victory, but of an unshakable calm that outran every shadow, and the track would always be waiting. His eyes, calm as ever, reflected the track, the only truth he ever needed. The seasons turned, and the track at Spa grew cold again. But the legend never froze. Tsubasa sat for his final portrait of the season, the helmet resting beside him once more.
I've raced through fire, through lies. The only thing left is to race through time.
The brake disc remained, its surface now cold, a silent sentinel of a day when fear was burned away. Children still watched the replay, eyes wide, learning that calm could defeat any conspiracy. Tomoya and Masaki faded from memory, their names erased, their legacy reduced to a cautionary footnote. Tsubasa did not seek glory. He simply woke at dawn, laced his boots, and returned to the track.
The track never lies. It only waits for you to listen.
Footsteps faded into the mist, leaving only the hum of engines on an empty circuit. But his words would never die. I race against the track, not against scared old men.